How's everything?
Yeah, I'm good. We are good. Thank you. And it's really nice to see you and talk finally.
Yeah, that's good to see you too, finally. And because I had the plans to come and like meet you guys in Budapest, and but it didn't turn out that way last year, as you know. And like we all were stopped from living the normal lives, and Anyway, so I met you I found out about you through Nurit, and I realized she's written a book. And can you just let us know what that book is about that she's written, Nurit?
Oh, maybe she can tell you that, right? Or Nurit, you want to talk about your book? I'll move aside, and then she'll tell you about the book. How is that?
No worries.
Here you go.
Hello,
hi, Sabine. Thank you. It's wonderful to finally meet you. We've been corresponding on Facebook, and now we get the real face.
Likewise, yeah.
As soon as it gets on Zoom.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yes, I watched a few of your videos last night, and I really liked them. And you talked about your book that you've written. It's got a amazing, funky title. So can you let us know what it is?
Well, it's called the Blind Leading the Blonde on the Road to Freedom.
Love it.
And the subtitle is Confessions of a Recovering Spiritual Junkie.
Wow.
So I have been I confess, I've been a spiritual junkie for about 40 years.
Yeah.
Traveling from India to all over the place, studying with different teachers and gurus and masters, anywhere from Muktananda to metaphysicians in Canada. And basically I was caught up in spirituality, the delusion of spirituality.
Yes.
And so, and the reason I wrote the book is because I feel there's so many people that I've known for years, and other people who are so caught up in non-duality, New Age, whatever. And I really believed in all those things when I was involved in them and couldn't see through them. I couldn't even see how I was entrapped in spirituality until I met Gabor. And I resisted Gabor for 2.5 years and found all kinds of faults with him, like he wore sandals with socks and he used the F word and stupid stuff. But somewhere inside me, when I met him, I knew that there's no one like him. I've never met anyone like him who listens from a whole different place than most people do. His mind wasn't running when I spoke with him. My words were being received in a silent space. And I didn't know that that's what was happening. I just knew that it felt amazing to speak with him, and he never tried to impress me. He was just a regular person. What a concept. So, but somewhere it's also on a subtle level scared me, because I felt somewhere inside I knew that this was the end of the line. Whatever he does is the end of the line. And so I kind of stayed away until we bumped into each other at a singles party, a singles barbecue, if you will. And there were many people, but I couldn't talk to anybody because he's the only one that I was wanting to talk to, because what he was saying was, on one level, I resonated with it.
Yeah.
And I remember we were standing there, and I was talking to him about my beliefs, spiritual beliefs, and he was talking about what he's about. And at some point he said to me, well, that's all great what you're doing. It's just that what your spirituality is in the mind, and mind isn't. Yeah. And I was livid when I heard that. I was so upset. I didn't couldn't sleep all night. I thought to myself, how could he say that? How could he say that it's in the mind when I've been spending so many years transcending my mind? Yeah. My mind fooled me into thinking that it was being transcended by itself.
Yes.
That's how deluding spirituality can be. And I couldn't believe it. I guess there's no way that I'm in my mind. I've done this and that, and I meditated and I chanted and I followed gurus, you know. So I chewed on it for a while, and we kind of agreed to disagree, but I still wanted nothing to do with him. Until one day I felt that I had to meet him. I don't know why, but I just had to. And within a few days of our meeting, he gave me a very simple exercise of just looking in his eyes and feeling my hands. Yeah. And I kid you not, Sabine, it didn't take more than what, 2 minutes, not even that, when suddenly I went into, the words don't describe it properly, it's just the best I could do. I went into this intense silence, unlike anything I've ever felt before. And that was the point that I actually stepped out of my mind for the first time ever. Yeah. And it was only from that space that was not mine that I was able to perceive how he was right. Until then, I was in my mind. Yeah. And I realized that I couldn't possibly see that I was in my mind as long as I was in my mind.
Yes.
I don't know if this is clear, but it was such, I remember thinking like, holy shit, this is like, I've never experienced anything before like this. And I realized what all the other spiritual concepts were doing to me. Yeah. And how I was being deluded by them. So long story short, we got together and we've been together ever since. And it's been an incredible journey. And this is what I write about in my book, in a nutshell.
Yeah. How many years do you live there now in Budapest?
In Budapest for 7 years. But Gabor and I have been together for 10 years. We met in Canada. Yeah. And then we moved here 7 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. And you love it. You always praise Budapest.
Oh, I love it. It's so beautiful.
I'm jealous.
I'll have to come when these stupid restrictions are lifted.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, now it's winter and it's cold there, and you have restrictions as well, do you? Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's very hot here today. It's like 38, 39 degrees, and it's like boiling as we speak.
Send some over to us.
Have some transmission. Yeah, thank you for the great intro. Like, I wanted to hear what you had to say, because I know that Gabor helped you, and yeah. So that's a great opening, and wishing you all the best, and we'll be in touch, and it's so good to see you. And
thank you.
I'll send a link to your website and to your YouTube channel, so people can look into your book and maybe get in touch. And yeah, thank you for that. And I might continue with your husband, to talk to your husband.
Yeah, absolutely. Here he is.
See you later. Hi, Gabor. Welcome back.
Hey, thank you. I'm the husband. So there you go.
You're only the husband. Yeah. The second best. Yeah. And
yes.
Yeah, it's really amazing to hear the story. And yeah, I've heard actually when I watched you guys talking on Conscious TV, and I've heard how Nurit, like she went through some difficulties, and yourself as well. So my question here is, do you think, I know it's not all the time, but do you think that like difficult situations push us to have a look into this, into our true nature, and maybe we might not even know what we are looking for, but probably we're just looking for help some way. How does it look for you?
let me see if I understand the question, just to be sure, right?
Yes.
So there are difficult situations, and how does it affect the person to get through it? Something like that, right? That's how to make search for it, how to stop the search. Can you clarify a little bit?
Yeah, like it's more like stuff like suffering. Does it make us have a look into this, into the message, into our true nature? Do you think in the most cases, like for example, myself, I looked into that because I wasn't a seeker, but I really suffered severely psychologically and physically. So that was the reason why I looked into this, and I was looking for something. Was it the same, similar for yourself? And do you think it's for most people?
Yes, I understand. Now I understand very clearly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, certainly my case was a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because I suffered like everyone else, like big time, and so much so that I had next to the suffering, I had 12 years of suicidal depression, and basically I was ready to die. I happened to be in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna take my bicycle and sort of accidentally run in front of a bus or something. So sort of pretending that I had an accident, and so my daughters don't have to be, I don't know, ruined or something. Oh, my father committed suicide. So I was ready. And then, being on this beach, ready, my life is over. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And at that time, some memory came up during my years in martial arts. I learned how to look inside in a particular way, and I thought, okay, for one last time, I look inside.
Yeah.
And I didn't look inside to judge my personality or to fix something. I really looked inside, feeling, I guess, surrendering into the body, not knowing at that time what I'm doing. And all of a sudden, everything changed. And the depression was gone. The waves coming into the beach sounded very different. And I realized that I went through something that is very significant. I realized that that significant thing was not on the end of a road whereby I'm fixing myself, because I try to fix myself big time. With all kinds of stuff. I mean, amazing. And so, and I looked left and I looked right. And you know how on the beach there is these dogs that run around on the beach. Yeah. They are not exactly designer dogs. You know, they like skinny and
dogs. Yeah.
They are really ugly. And and there was a dog next to me, and I looked into his or her eyes. I think it was a her. And it looked like the most beautiful dog. I said, oh my God, you know what happened? So everything was the same, except that I've gone through some kind of a very, very thin layer of something that showed me that kind of perfection is available to me, and it's right there. And I don't need to fix myself anymore. So that was my path. That is not, that was strictly my path. That doesn't mean it's other people's path, right? So there is so much suffering for people, which gets people to look elsewhere, or to look and get into religion, get into spirituality, get into meditation. And they are wonderful because they provide immediate relief and comfort. Like, you know, if, you know, we're suffering in this duality-based world. And hearing wonderful quotes, wonderful things, if you're religious, hearing that Jesus will help you, whatever, right? And meditating gives comfort. And so most of us as people, you know, and including me, for many, many years, I comforted myself with spirituality, and I learned a lot, right? And so, and that's wonderful. And if a person can keep getting relief and move on and on and on with life, but there has to be a maintenance program of always attempting to maintain that by comforting ourselves. There is a different way to do it. If someone wants it permanent, that does not require maintaining consistently, that's a whole different program. That's something whereby a person can actually find absolute perfection right now in what I call angular reality. I call it angular reality because angular reality is in an angle to this particular reality that we are in. So I usually show it like this. This is normal reality. This is angular reality is always there every moment, but it's in an angle to the current one. So it's accompanying. It's always accompanying this one.
Yeah.
And there are certain skills necessary to jump into this angular reality and navigate in this angular reality, or I should say, learn to navigate in this reality. But at that time, there is this super comforting, and there is this feeling of, oh my God, I'm home. Oh, okay, so this is home. And that does not require maintaining. That is the stuff that maintains us. So it's different skills, different commitment requires to make that love and comfort permanent, as a part to keep going on the road of keep improving and keep memorizing narratives, for example. So I don't know if I made this clear enough, but
would you say that there is a like underlying okay, like underlying okay with everything that what is, but at the same time, like in a story, in a life, there are still ups and downs. Like for yourself, do you think that, like for instance, judgment arises or opinions arises? Like you watch soccer is big in Europe, and you watch and you want your team to win, and you go, oh look, he cheated. And do these things arise for you still? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
The life as we know it in duality, or I call it contrast reality.
Yeah.
And contrast reality unfortunately goes into conflict reality frequently, but it's a frequency. It always vibrates between good and bad, and our senses are designed to sense duality, and everything exists in comparison to something else. And so we live in that reality, and certainly we remain in that reality.
Yeah.
But with respect to awakening, what happens is that the context shifts, meaning that the where we come from shifts. Where we come from shifts into a looking, into a being, into a default position, which is a constant, which is what we meant to have, which is who we are. And within that context, life is happening. So if this is context, and life is happening in it, and that modulates the current reality very much. Our templates, our learnings are still the same. We still know how to get on the bus and get off. You know, we're not going to be zombies. We still know how to get to work. I still know who my favorite soccer team is, like you said, etc. Right? Except for one thing, that I'm also aware of the context, that super intelligence, that is a different kinds of feeling, that is normal for all of us. And that awareness is always there. So when I look at the world, my senses are still working, so I can still tell stuff. but I have two different navigation systems going on, the context and the content. And the context is such that it gives this ongoing comfort to a person that whatever happens, whether my soccer team wins or not, it doesn't really matter that much. And so life is happening, and it's a lot more comfortable. And we always sense that God is present. We always sense that I have this inherited right, this wonderful love that I inherited. I don't have to deserve it. Yeah. It's there for me. It's there for everyone. I don't have to clean up for it or deserve. I don't have to work for it. I don't have to meditate for it. I don't have to have no sex or stuff like that, right? It's available. It has to be accessed. So a certain context shows up within which life is still happening on the duality level, but our sense of it or our fear of it is now different. The fear basically is taken away from the program, from this programmed reality.
Yeah. So fear would still arise for you. You reckon? I mean, like what I do sometimes, I notice the birds, and I love watching the nature, and I feel I'm not any different. The way you looked at that dog and saw the beauty in that dog, like I look at the birds and see what they do, and sometimes you walk past and they fly off. They scared. There's a natural fear for their safety, because I find it like that fear, they might arise, but it's different now. It's like more fear like for loving to be, because we love to be, don't we? Still love to be. If someone pointed a gun at, against our head, we wouldn't like it. We would just push it away, or maybe push them or something. So so that's probably that natural. We
need. I mean, fear. We don't want to not to have fear.
Yeah.
Because, we want to be able to navigate and operate in this contrast/conflict reality, because we are still in it.
Yeah.
And for that we need to have our senses and emotions and everything working.
Yeah.
So fear would, in a sense, protect us. The difference is, however, if fear comes up, right? If fear comes up, is that it comes up and triggers one specific template of action, and those templates that came up do not trigger other templates.
Yeah.
It's not like fear. Oh my God, oh my God, nobody will like me anymore. Oh my God, what's going to happen to me? As a fear, and there isn't. So it comes up differently because the fear comes up in such a loving context that it has the appropriate effect, but not a long-term effect.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I love you. That's how you said also how it arises. Also, like I've heard Yuji Krishnamurti. He says something like there's a love and hate, and he said love and hate, they're much closer than kissing your cousins. Meaning it's very interesting point of view. But what I really liked what you said last night, one of your talks with Nurit, two of you were just one day. You said that the searching itself is poison to awakening, and you said the searching will postpone it. That really resonates here, because I find from my experience with people I talk with, it seems they feel obliged to say I stop searching, but next thing you see they're all over. They're waiting, looking for transmission. They're looking for it in the next book, but they say no, I stopped searching. I know I'm that already. So what do you mean? Can you just expand on that?
Absolutely. You bring up something that is absolutely a key understanding and a key issue to this whole subject.
Yeah.
Really, because Nurit and me, we both know spirituality quite well. Between the two of us, we have like a million-year experience, you know. And so, and as much as we appreciate it, and as much as it's wonderful, we had to make a distinction between spirituality and awakening. And now, when I show this, it means really contrast reality, the world we live in. Contrast reality have its value systems, and what happens is that we have a value system. We search, we put things into template, we compare, we refer to the past, etc. All time-based things, and all those things has a value. So it's got a value if it's comparable, if it's understandable, etc., etc. So one of the values, one of the key values of contrast reality, this is like time, is that anything that is come from search has value. I searched long enough, I compared the writing of Aristotle to Plato, who compares to Jesus, who said in Aramaic something which was compared to the Buddha, stuff like that, which is fine. It's a wonderful, you know, intellectual exercise. So one of the values in our current navigational system is comparison. And let's keep searching. And then when we search, we find something good. You say, oh, aha. And then neurons in the brain start firing and create dopamine. And, oh, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. It must be true because Joe wrote about it and Steve wrote about it. That, oh, it must be true. And I feel good. I feel good. Aha, aha, aha. So, and here is the key sentence. Spirituality attached itself to time and still values search, still values, aha, now I understand. Aha, now I know more. Aha. Here's another quote from Ramana Maharshi. Oh, okay. Here's a quote from Muji. Oh, it's just about the same. Here's a quote from someone else, right? So we're saving quotes and wise sayings, and that's all part of the old system of aha, it makes me feel good, right? Aha, makes me feel good. It's all in time, right? So back to the question. Spirituality took upon itself the same value system as what's in the contrast mind. Good is good, bad is bad, search is good, more is more, less is less, right? Now, as we go on this path and do know more and know more and know more, it takes our attention away. It grabs our attention, so there is no attention left what we really need to do. So if all my attention is here and I keep searching more and more and more, oh, here's another quote, here's another book, here's another something, then there's no attention left to really do this leap that it actually takes to leap out of this current reality, right? And establish myself in the world of God, which is already exists, and it's in an angle to the current one. So it takes away our attention, and the more we search, the more poisonous it becomes, because it makes us comfortable and happy and comfortable and happy, but we never actually take the bother to actually leap out of the reality.
Yeah.
But that's sort of what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's not very popular.
No.
This is not a popular thing.
Not at all. Not popular method.
It's not a popular thing. People love to get together and compare notes and save up quotes and feel good and stuff like that. And it's very difficult. And somehow the assumption is that we feel good, the more we feel good, the more we feel good. Somehow we get to God. And it's not true, because we can't get there, right? So that's why I'm saying that, in a sense, for people who are serious about awakening, more search is actually dangerous.
Yes. Did you feel yourself when this recognition happened for your awakening, that basically that you felt that everything actually dropped off, like rather than that you accumulated all the knowledge that Nurit was talking about, all the spiritual knowledge. I'm a spiritual expert now, because I know it all. Now that in a way it all dropped and it was like, I know nothing. Did you have that at all? That like there was nothing there? That this is it? Like disappointing and satisfied and happy, I mean, and joyous? Yeah.
Yeah, it was very subtle, of course. You know, I was in such a bliss that my first concern was, of course, at that time, I was building a condominium project in Mexico.
Yeah.
And it was only half ready. So I thought, oh my God, what's going to happen now? I can't seem to think. I don't care about anything. I can't finish the project, right? So.
So you no longer cared about the project as much.
I didn't care. I said, oh my God, I have to care because it's half finished, right? Luckily, I had a partner who was very, very conscientious and responsible, who compensated for my awakening. So my brain worked just the same, but because the knowledge about how to build a condominium, or the knowledge about life, the knowledge about engineering, the knowledge about spirituality comes in a form of templates, right? And when awakening happens, the templates are still there, but the fear comes out.
Yeah.
So when the fear comes out, they kind of collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels like, oh my God, I really don't care.
Yeah.
So we can still operate the templates. We can still be great mothers, fathers, engineers, coffee makers, soccer players, whatever, right? Except the templates now have to be glued together, not with fear, but with this super intelligence that has been awakened within.
Yeah. I like that. It's really good. It's such a great allegory. Like it's really, yeah, probably how it feels. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I just like to say that no special talent requires.
Yeah.
Absolutely anyone deserves it. Absolutely anyone can do it. It's there.
Mm.
No matter who says what, it's not hard.
Yeah. It's our birthright, as you said, guys, in your previous one that I watched. It's your birthright, so we all have a right to it, regardless if you might be a prisoner, a murderer. It doesn't say go and murder someone. It's justified. You know, there is a reasoning capacity. You know, there is a natural order. So you wouldn't go and run in front of a bus like that. You would wait for bus to pass, unless you're suicidal. And yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, it's very key to know that we inherited this.
Mm.
The one of the reasons it's such a key expression is because when we inherit something, we absolutely don't have to deserve it, right? So if I had a wealthy father, if I was the biggest son of a bitch ever, right? I still inherited the wealth. I can still go to a Swiss bank, and if I know the password, I can grab all the money, right?
Yeah.
So it's an inherited something. It's not a deserved.
Like if someone is in a certain way, if someone is like careless, some people are more giving, and some people are more, they love to take, and some people are givers. Is it kind of, when you say inherited, is it a bit of in DNA or in our genes, you know, or DNA, or is it how we were brought up a little bit?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I think I understand. Yeah, I always want to make sure I understand.
Yeah.
Questions. Don't ramble on. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's not in the DNA. It's beyond the DNA. It's beyond our understanding as to how we inherit sicknesses and DNA and RNA and stuff like that. We tap into this intelligence that's beyond duality. That means that is an intelligence, and the base of it is not a reference point, the base of it is ratio. So this angular reality is a ratio reality.
Yeah.
And when we tap into this universal reality, which is within the body, the base of it is not a something.
Yeah.
It's not a something. We can say it's a nothing, but it's not a nothing. We just don't have a word for it. So the base of it is ratio reality, specifically the golden ratio, which is evident when we look at the body, that it's got the golden ratio. So it's not in the DNA, it's not inherited, it's not, there is no any prerequisite, there is no any, it's got nothing to do, awakening has nothing to do with anything inherited or accumulated or anything like that now. However, however,
it's always however.
However, there is an inherited tendency, a personality, like you and Nurit and me and people who want to say, oh, what else? I mean, there is an inherited personality thing which is more conducive to, let's see what else, let's see what's in Canada, let's see what's in Australia, why, how. So if there are people who are so broken into the programmed reality that they will never look out, or they are afraid to look out because they're not going to be approved by society. So there is, what's inherited is this curious type of daring personality, perhaps somebody who is not approved of by others, and that would be more conducive to actually taking the leap to tap into this perfection.
So kind of we don't have any say in it. It's as it is, I presume.
We don't have it on this level, on the time-based level. We don't have any say in it, except, hey, I'm curious. I'm looking. I want something. You know, that's what got all of us into spirituality and meditation. Oh, finally, I have some comfort, right? Oh, I found Jesus. Finally, I feel good in my heart, right? So that personality got us into religion and spirituality. Now, hopefully, it can take one more step and leap, right? Into this perfection. But it requires an entirely different skill set than we had before. And it's not hard.
You said you said something about meditation, that like you don't need it really, like there's nothing wrong with meditation, it can help you. It was really good what you said. That's how it feels here, because I never needed to meditate to just, you know, for this to be aware, I presume, or alive. And so does a baby meditate before it comes out? I don't know.
Baby doesn't have to meditate, just look.
But, and then at the same time you said curious. I love that word curious, because it's like a child. It's always curious, asking the questions. It's That's curious right. Like a child, isn't it? And it is childlike. It's like, don't take it seriously. Do you take your life too seriously now, or you think it's not as serious for you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you know, as you know, I teach this stuff, but the very, very basic prerequisite of learning what I teach is that you have to learn to be non-serious. And that's also a learned skill, believe it or not, because programmed reality got us into so much seriousness that what we're talking about is not become possible. So non-seriousness is an absolute prerequisite in leaping out of contrast reality and getting into what I call angular reality. So absolutely non-seriousness. Meditation is good, and it gives, you know, here is the mind in horizontal level, and it resonates. It goes good, bad, right? And when it stops by meditation, it stops, it feels good. There is a peace inside, right? Now, when we enter into what we call angular reality, there is also a peace. But there is two entirely very, very different kinds of peace. And not to mix up the two is key. So is meditation good? Yes, absolutely. Awakening, however, provides a peace that is a very different kinds of peace that can be made permanent than meditation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes it seems like a permanent meditation to me. Like it's basically you meditate all the time. When you, with awakening, meditation is there. I think in a way, it's like everything is meditation, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, we can call it that if you want. But it's good. It's very good to stay away from those terms. Yeah. The reason is I'm not angry at meditation, but it's very good to stay away from those terms, is because the contrast mind wants to bring us back to this reality. So anything that we have been using in the past to comfort us is not going to be helpful. See, so we can say it's like a permanent meditation. We can say it's like this, it's like that. We can say we're one with everything. We we exist, we don't exist. We can call we can say all kinds of narratives or explanations for it, and they are all relatively true, right? And the danger is with those metaphors, let's say, is that it seems to pull us back to the time-based reality. It's much better to jump and not say much.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sometimes the words are we have to express it, but they limit us, because if you see a tree, it means something different to everyone. Everyone sees it differently. So it's just and not the same word resonate with all, because we're all unique in a way. I'd say so.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, the once we leap or we take this commitment, it's best to explain less. Because, you know, even if we have an explanation and it's really good, what we do is we chuckle after, like, oh, now we understand. we laugh it out so that the explanation will not glue us back into its world of contrast reality.
And in something similarly to that, you said something like, answer can be, if someone asks me a question, my answer can be different each time for the same question. And because you don't know what comes out of your mouth, you have no control. It just comes from placeless place, wherever.
Yeah, exactly. Because in this angular reality, every moment changes. Everything is spinning around everything else. And we find that perfect spot, but that perfect spot is permanent. However, it's moving, right? So if there is a question, the question is perceived by angular reality differently and answered differently, because now it's a different moment. So 2,000 years ago, it was a different moment. And that whatever answer that was, a question that was absolutely, let's say, perfect for that moment. But if you ask the same question now, it's going to be very different than 5 minutes from now, in a sense. Not very different, but slightly different.
Like, can you say now, like 5 years ago, when you talk to people about this, and today, has your like teaching, or say so-called teaching, or just has your sharing changed a lot? Like, with you changing, because we change, I presume, in this, we are in duality. So do you see yourself differently 5 years ago to today, or do you talk differently about this?
Very much so. Very much so. It's I have examples. 5 years ago, I had a wonderful student. I hate to call them student, but I don't know how to
Yeah.
So, and it took her, I would say, 3 years to fully be aware and fully permanently be awake.
Yeah.
Now I would say I have a few comparable people who are in a comparable commitment. It's like 5-6 months. So what I'm experiencing is that not only my teaching shift, because it's not my teaching really, I'm just talking, but the universe seemed to push this very much. We are already into this totally new paradigm. And the universe is really pushing the knowledge, really pushing the experiences on people to make this leap and to make this permanent commitment to themselves. Yeah. So the teaching very much changed. I'm finding that it's almost like the teaching is now changing daily, sometimes hourly. Yeah. It's that much push or that much of a wind at my back. There is this Irish blessing, may the wind be at your back. Yeah. And it's always there when we want to commit to this new paradigm. Yeah. So
that's interesting. I find it like you surprise yourself each time what you teach as much as everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. It's true, because it's now new. Yeah. The very, very basics are not, but the refinement of them, which are super important, shifts, and the explanational angles, and even the words, the expressions, if necessary, change very much.
Yeah. And you said also, you talked about mind, and you said there are ways to make it more like, so that it doesn't vibrate as much, the mind, so kind of stop it for a second, because you can't stop it permanently, obviously, because mind has to vibrate. But you said there are ways we can do it, that we can still a bit. So can you touch base on that? How do we still the mind for these people who are in this madness, especially now?
Yeah. We actually, as we all know, we attempted to still the mind with meditation and stuff like that, which works really well. Follow your breath, whatever meditational technique a person uses, and it calms the mind. Yeah. And now, with respect to awakening, the moment we leap out of this reality, the mind becomes calm as a byproduct. Yeah. If the objective of leaping out and awakening is to calm the mind, it's not going to work. There is a cause and effect which totally not operating in angular reality. This is causation. So let's say I'm focusing on the universe, which is right here, right? And I'm perfectly in one with it, right? And I noticed that my mind is not calm, but that's not why I did what I did. There is like a million side effects that are amazing, right? One of which is that the mind calms down. And then if I say, oh my God, my mind is calm, the whole thing disappears. So we need to know how to use the senses. Yes. Sensibly, right? Because, the senses are there to sense reality. In duality means that something in comparison to something else. Yeah. In a new paradigm, the sense is still working, right? But there is a whole new navigational system that is not something in comparison to something. And in that reality, if we use our senses directly, then this reality disappears. And let me say this, that what I just said seems complex, but it's not. Yeah. It's not. As soon as we enter this world that we don't need to deserve, there is a million pieces of help available immediately for a person
Yeah.
The explanation might be complex, but the actually doing it, the actual learning it isn't. So there is a something here, and that we observe as duality. And here we cannot observe it as duality. We have to notice it as a byproduct.
Yeah.
You know, duality observing through the senses, noticing as a byproduct. Yeah. And the two are entirely different. The noticing as a byproduct comes automatically with activation of this paradigm.
Yeah.
So it's easy.
It's easy. Yeah. Well, it's pretty easy. It's easy to be what you are, isn't it?
Yeah, it's easy. And it's like I sometimes say that why would God make it difficult for his children or her children to go home? Why? God wakes up in the morning and she says, oh, I'm going to piss some people off and put all kinds of obstacles so they can't come home. No.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems we just dropped into that hypnosis, hypnotism, and we all being hypnotized to believe we are something we are not. And,
exactly.
Exactly. And once the belief drops off, we can't believe the same thing again. You can't go back into the belief. It drops off. You see some Santa Claus. Once you stop believing in it, you can't believe in it again, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's a very good way to put it. Yes, absolutely. So it drops off.
Yeah, and as Nietzsche said, he said, society tames the wolf into a dog, but the man is the most domesticated animal from all. So
yes, absolutely.
Yes, and it's amazing. We are the only animal that try to work itself out. You know, other animals just are.
Yeah, that's right. Other animals kill when they need to eat, let's say, but then they are hanging out, you know, and that we have this innate, amazing ability that's not so hard.
Yeah.
And the universe now absolutely insists that we progress into this new paradigm, and it would be reasonably easy to. In an activated state, it's very easy to sit down with anyone, discuss anything. There's absolutely no conflict. That does not need to be a conflict. Well, but in the current belief system, there is an absolute need for consistent conflict and the resolution of conflict. But we can only resolve conflict permanently once people jump into a different level of consciousness, if they are willing. Yeah. So it is the solution to all the world's problem.
Yeah.
As we have known that for a long time, even in spirituality, we know that is the solution.
Yeah, yeah. It somehow resolves itself by itself. I feel, because I know habitually I still kept pushing on things, you know, the way I did, because I used to hurry in front of myself. I would run in front of myself to beat myself, because I always tend to I always wanted to live in the future. And in a way, I don't know, I lived in the future probably, projecting and all of this. And, but then I realized, you know, the things were getting done from the back door. Like I would be focusing, I'll be doing this. And I keep talking about, I'll be doing this, but I did none of it. Other things were happening behind the scenes without me needing any effort, you know.
Yeah.
So it was effortless in a way, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. The more, even in the normal level of consciousness, the effortlessness, even attempting to be effortless and easy, is already great progress.
Yeah.
So yes, just like you said, things are going on in the background.
Yeah.
And we perhaps realize that we don't need to be so heavily invested into doing something or pushing or projecting, because stuff is already there for us.
I do notice your students, I'll just call it your people who come to you. Do they kind of expect some sort of to get something like sort of like a transmission, or like, do you have to explain to them that basically they have to taste their own menu, and or do they expect to get the menu from you, like the taste of that from you, or yeah, do you get that often from people you see, expectations like, oh, if I'm on high, it's a good meeting. If I wasn't on high, it wasn't good, that great meeting. Does it happen? It does, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it does, because people come with expectation, rightfully so, because they want to improve something. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my job is to convince people that there is a different way to improve stuff.
Yeah.
Right? The normal way to improve stuff is that, hey, I'm cleaning up, I'm looking at my emotions, I look at past life, whatever, and they're all good, you know. But there is another way to improve stuff, to make it permanent. And then I convince people to learn new skills. There's a new set of new skills I require, and those skills are immediately make people independent. They are not dependent on me. You know, hanging out with me is great for them, and we hang out all the time.
Yeah.
But the skills from the first moment on are independent skills, connecting directly to God, so they're not dependent on me. And all the exercises that we do are towards that end. So it's all, I mean, I have many students right now who are totally, I mean, the only reason we hang out is because we like it. They don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
At all. And the beginning, yes, of course.
Yes.
There is learning and skills. There is intellectual learning skills, and there is attention-based skills.
Yeah. So they don't need to hang around in spiritual group and keep coming back. It's nothing like that.
We do hang out because we like it, but they don't need to. Yeah. They are totally independent at any time during the day. Can activate, we call it activation, and walk around on the street doing what they do, totally activated, directly connected to the universe. And certainly I'm not needed.
Yeah, yeah. And how is it now for you? Can you hold the meetings during the lockdown, or is it you do it more online at the moment? Yeah,
we have a lot of meetings online.
Yeah.
A lot of short ones, even half-an-hour ones. We even do 15-minute ones, just to quickly. You know. But we still get together here in Budapest.
Yeah.
And the group gets together. There's a place where we can hang out together.
Yeah.
But mostly the teaching happening online.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the time when all these restrictions come off. You know, I mean.
Are there many people in like in Budapest or Hungary that are interested in this subject? Yeah.
Yes, and like elsewhere, the interest, there's no interest in this subject whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because this, what I'm talking about, doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. It exists as a concept in spirituality, or it exists as a dream in the future. So there's no interest for it directly. However, there is a great interest in improving themselves. I have a lot of young men and young people who want to improve their life, be more successful, stuff like that. And that's fine. And however, once they learn the skill of, it's a different setup skill, then they become very interested, realizing that they can even be more successful, as if it mattered, but they can be more successful, happier than they wanted to be. So and I have a group of people here who are very powerful, like 70-80%, like totally aware, and those people are attracting people who are interested. So now there now there is a group of people who are attracting people who would be interested in the subject. Otherwise, there isn't anyone. Most people are interested in some sort of an improvement. And even if you say, hey, we're learning awakening, oh, okay, I've accomplished all kinds of things in my life. And the next thing is I'm going to accomplish is awakening or enlightenment. And the mind wants to be enlightened. So there's a lot of interest. The reason is because I have a group of people who are very powerful. Otherwise, there is no interest.
So do they come, most people obviously come, they want some improvement, but do you get people often who are in similar situation as yourself, as myself, like coming from that suffering, maybe mental suffering? Do you get these people to come and see who are depressed? And,
I have them like every day, like from all over the world, and I operate mainly online especially because of the restrictions. People come with amazingly deep-seated problems, including depression, including suicide, or including just feeling uneasy all the time. So yes, everyone who comes to me comes with some kind of a deep problem, with the desire of not to have it. And so it is my job to convince that there is a way to not to have this problem that makes it permanent. And that's the whole deal, you know.
Do you think it's possible for that problem to go away if someone is depressed by nature, or for whatever, whether it's past events, whether it's in their blueprints? Probably some people through families, I know, like they committed suicide through like their parents did, like their fathers. Like I had a friend, all of them, and she had to look after her brother all her life, and in the end she couldn't because, like it had to happen. So do you think it's possible to change how the mind operates and to put them off the idea?
Yes, well, yes, I mean, I'm of course very familiar with depression and suicidal depression because I have 12 years of amazing experience. I mean, I'm laughing now, but I wasn't laughing then, you know. And so I've had many people with depression who are, I would say, totally cured, but that's not a good expression because we don't cure the problem. We don't cure depression. We don't do anything like that. What we do is we activate the already existing perfection. And the already existing perfection grows, ripens. I'm not kidding. Until the problem called depression basically disappears. So we're bypassing the problem, not fixing it. And this is not just a philosophy. We're activating this perfection. And most people believe that in order to activate this perfection, first I have to get rid of my problem or depression. No, not now. First I have to get rid of my sadness, or first I have to do this, right? And that is a basic false belief that keeps people where they are at. So whatever the problem is, first we activate the perfection, and skills are required to do that. And once the perfection is activated, it grows like a flower, blooming. And all of a sudden, the problem that we did not touch is insignificant or goes away.
Okay. So I've heard you saying it's similar with illness or with the pain. You were giving instructions that you were saying that pain could be probably less. I think I remember you saying that the pain doesn't have to be that severe, that you can focus on that and make it probably, be easier. Yes,
it is. A very simple example is that once someone learns how to bypass the mind, how should I say? Okay, let's say I'm getting in touch with this amazing intelligence inside the body. When I do this, it just means that my attention goes a little bit more this way, you know. And so let's say I'm activating that perfection, which is always there, but the pain is still there, right? I can activate this perfection feeling, even though I have huge problems on the body, right? And as frequently it happens. So now what I do is this amazing activated space start surrounding and interweaving the problem. We don't want to get rid of the problem. We don't want to understand it. We don't want to have anything to do with it. We don't want to oppose it. Nothing. All we want to do is feel the perfection, and then take the problem and surround the problem, interweave the problem, love that problems into oblivion. Treat the problem like a baby, like if it was my own kid. I wouldn't want to be violent to my kid, right? I would be surrounding it with love and being with it. And to get to that love component takes skill. Once that skill is there, then we deal with the pain differently. And in comparison to this intelligent perfection, the pain will be less and less and less. So yes, we surround it and be with it, not try to eliminate it, be with it, caress it, almost like a welcome guest. Hey, thank you for coming, and here is some love. Sort of. It's a very short, not very good explanation.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Rather than resisting it, resisting is the worst problem of, adding with the mind. I'm a sufferer of such and such illness, mind, and plus, you feed it usually. So, yes.
Yeah, if you resist it, it's just gonna grow.
Yeah.
But then we know this is a concept. We all know this is a concept. Don't resist it, right? But it's very different to actually do it than the concept. And doing it actually works.
Yes. I know saying is never good. Like no word is good. But yeah,
we both understand that we're talking in words, but it's told very imperfect.
Totally. It's whatever is made by man, it must be imperfect. Like if we're not born with any words.
Eventually, we as people, if we get back to the golden age, which we will, we will learn to communicate differently than words. Words might be used, but we can communicate by feelings, sounds, colors, etc. They are a superior way of communicating to words. But that's later.
That'd be good.
Yeah, there will be. It's towards eliminating conflict. Language is one of the problems that we have conflict. It's subject to huge misunderstandings immediately.
And this is why the war starts, because it's always misunderstanding or misreading. Have you got anything else to add towards the end?
Well, I think the if someone, let's say, enjoyed this interaction between us and likes it, the only thing I like to emphasize is that it's much easier than we think. So much so that there is a reality that where thought is inferior. So if someone feels it in their heart that that's what they want to do, it's a lot easier than it seems. And awakening or enlightenment is totally possible, and it's an inherited right. It does not depend on gurus or God or anything. It's a totally inherited right for every human being, and it's not hard.
So requires I need to see anyone.
Or it's not absolutely anyone with. Of course, most people who are interested, they are interested in a resolution of some kind of a problem or pain, right? And that's fine. Awakening is a permanent way to resolve the problem rather than temporary, and it's not hard. The reason I'm emphasizing it so much is because our normal mind would try to understand it, and in not understanding it, it would say, aha, it's hard. Just because it doesn't understand it, it doesn't mean it's hard.
Yeah. So what would you say to people to stay away from, if they could, like to not to prolong the seeking?
Well, my experience is that people who love seeking, and God knows I was one of them, Nurit was one of them, and we all, I mean, for 20 years I've been seeking like crazy. Yeah. there is a just to know that seeking is okay. But if the seeking is towards something permanent, yeah, seeking won't have it. We can't reach the permanent by seeking. Yeah. A different set of skills are required than seeking, which is of course a total paradox, because the person could say, well, how can I find it if I'm not seeking? So let the seeking be okay, but somewhere in the person's heart, let it be known that I'm open to something that is different. Yeah. And if I have to stop seeking for it, that's okay. And if that person feels that way, the whole universe opens up, and to make things permanent. So seeking is okay, but if you want permanent, that's not in the seeking.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So basically, and seeking is not in the mind either. It's more in sensors, I presume, like inner sensors, rather than in the mind, because often the mind wants to know. So yeah.
Yeah, seeking is, you know, we use our senses and mind and templates, and the mind loves seeking because it's has conclusions, it has new information and comparisons, you know, it's within its jurisdiction of the value system. So the mind will never cooperate with seeking something, which being open to something that is in this world of nonsense. I mean, activation is nonsense.
Yeah, a good one, yeah.
Yeah. The word nonsense have to be rehabilitated. Yeah. Because we say, oh, it's nonsense. It's not. Of course, it's nonsense. Because we cannot seek it or be aware of it with the normal senses. So it's nonsense.
Yeah. Well, it is literally. Yeah, I don't know. Somehow it feels like that most people expect to live in this community, spiritual community, and the life will be different. It won't be like going to work, having to earn to pay your bills, and they don't realize how many people have this knowledge without even seeing any teacher ever. It's probably, you know, just happened somehow, you know, for some people, but they live humbly, and yeah.
Yeah, we don't know how many people are whom, because they wouldn't speak up, but yeah. It's on the other hand, yes, but it's a learned skill. It's a learned skill. It occurs naturally within us. Yeah. But to activate it, to mine it, to benefit from it, it's a different skill than spirituality. But it's not hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So as you say, it's everyone's right. Everyone can. Yeah.
It's everyone's right. Totally not subject to personality change. You don't have to change a personality or be a better person or be more forgiving or more loving at all. Those nice things happen as a byproduct of awakening. Yeah. To go towards those improvements of personality is actually going to prevent the actual thing. Yes. Again, it's very paradoxical, but
yeah, that's interesting way of putting it. Yeah, because most say you have to cleanse, you have to, before you get there. I know Nurit was speaking about her gurus, how she had to do that in Muktananda and, you know, this and that to get the rose or something. So you have to serve them in a way. But as you said, it falls off by itself. Like you can have this now. Why delay? it's what you're saying, I understand. And then all these things will be dropping off.
Exactly. Like I needed suicidal depression.
Yeah.
It does not mean that other people do that. So depression and let's take the word tragedy.
Yeah.
Tragedy has a physiology. Right. It's got a physiology.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is we don't need the tragedy to get into the physiology of awakening. We can create the same physiology without the tragedy. So either physiological shift that we can learn, or it's the tragedy that will get it going. It's also very important that I needed tragedy.
Yeah.
People don't need tragedy.
Yeah.
I needed it because I had no teacher that could explain this to me. Yeah. That we can get to the physiology that eliminates the need for tragedy.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah.
I really wish that, I mean, there's a lot of us that are needed. I mean, this paradigm is like pushing this, and we need awakened people now, lots.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah. This is why these conversations can be beneficial if someone might need to come across and to see that it is easy, effortless, and doesn't imply any religion or any spirituality, because that's what you are. It's your naturalness, natural rights, natural birthright. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
It's a natural birthright that is easy. It's easy to access, but it requires some skills that are different than before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what? You know, it's worthwhile.
Yeah. So I've noticed you have this exercise when you watch your hands, and does it get your attention of your mind? Is it what the point is? Your attention is not in your mind, isn't it? You are not. It's not congested, so to say. How do you do that?
Yeah, the hand movements. Eventually, when we awaken these exceptionally intelligent tools, right?
Yeah.
The body itself becomes the tool.
Yeah.
The intelligence comes from the body, and now the body is used with that intelligence and with the appropriate tools. So when we use the body as in the contextual world called awakening, right? Any kind of bodily movement, feeling, sensing, especially the arms and the fingers, become a way of navigating this world, shifting the context of a conversation, and for example, you can shift the context, being in a forest next to a river, or shift the context into a conversation, context. And one of the ways to shift physiology and context is to make hand and finger movement, but eventually those things happen automatically. Like I'm not thinking as to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The body itself does it. All I have is a clear intention, and the body's intelligent does the rest.
That sounds easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. I just want to say towards the end now that because I'm friends with Nurit on the Facebook, and I really enjoy her posts sometimes about the two of you joking around the house, and she would yell something out to you, and you with something funny, and that's the best ever. Like, it's so funny. I keep laughing. I love reading those things, and it's so sweet.
Very light heart. Yes.
You always say something like really good. It's amazing. So thank you so much for this, and thanks for your time. And yeah, this will be on my YouTube channel, and also, as we said before, it will be, people can go on your website to check out your meetings, and you have also a YouTube channel, both of you. It's called Nurit and Gabor, like, is it? Yeah. So basically, they can check it out, and they can get in touch with you if they have any questions, and obviously they can visit you at some stage when you get these vaccines or whatever, or not. Oh, I don't want to get them. But anyway.
I've been looking forward to your visit.
Yeah.
If the restrictions ever come up.
Yeah, I'd love to come with David Aldridge. It's our friend also. We were talking about coming and visiting you guys. We'd love to come and see you.
Yeah, David is a wonderful, wonderful friend.
Yeah. And yeah, that'd be good to, yeah. It might happen, who knows, if this ends soon. So again, thank you so much for this, and all the best of luck with the situation, and yeah, we'll be in touch, and yeah.
Thank you, and it's very nice talking with you. So.
Yeah, me too.